Hello everybody and welcome to another new player guide. Today we're going to be talking about Monterey Jack, the cheese man, as we so lovingly call him around here. He is a rogue that turns into a seeker. So it's a rogue cards level 0, up to 5 other level 0 seeker cards. And then it's when you level up, it's seeker cards 1 to 5 from there on out. He has 1 willpower because he's a rogue. That's the rules. The rules, yeah.
It's the law.
4 book, 2 fist, and 5 foot. He has 8 damage and 6 horror on him. And as a reaction, at the end of your turn, if you started this round 1 location away from your current location, either gain 1 resource or draw 1 card. If you started this round 2 or more locations away, do both instead. So that's a pretty nice ability because, like, what's the action you just hate doing the most apart from, gaining a resource? Just move in 1 space. So now if that move 1 also said draw a card or gain a resource, that's pretty nice. And then there's other cards you can do that also help that as well.
Yeah.
I think, like, of the Edge of the Earth investigators, his is, like, the one that reads the most boring, but you're just going to get so much freaking value out of it. His Elder Sign effect is +1. If you started this round, 1 or more locations away from your current location, gain 1 resource or draw 1 card. So there are going to be times where your Elder Sign just kind of like, does nothing. But sometimes it's going to, like, give you a resource to draw a card. Yeah. His Trusty Bullwhip is a 2-cost asset that takes up your hand slot, commits for 2 foot, and a wild. It's fast, and as an action you can fight. This attack uses foot instead of fist. If this attack succeeds, you may exhaust Trusty Bullwhip to either automatically evade the attacked enemy or deal +1 damage for this attack.
It's a nice thing to have, but like you're not going to build around it.
Yeah.
You'll probably see it most games due to the amount of cards that you're going to be drawing, but
yeah,
it's definitely not integral to the play style.
Yeah, it's like one of those things too where you're kind of like, you can use it to like deal with an enemy, but your 5 foot like also is just like really good at like being like, bye.
Yeah, it is like very similar to getting extra damage out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get an extra 2 damage out of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we have his personal weakness, which is Buried Secrets, which is a revelation put into play in your threat area. If your location can be investigated, you cannot move except by scenario card effects. As an action, investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, discard Buried Secrets. If you fail, you may take 2 horror to shuffle it into your deck.
I've never seen this card before.
It's like very fitting. It's literally buried with all of the other weaknesses that are available. Yeah, I had to like dig for it. I had to ask online where the heck is Monterey Jack's weakness, but we found it.
I mean, it doesn't seem that bad.
It doesn't seem that bad, no. Like, just, you have 4 book, you're going to have things that bump your book. Just investigate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not even, like, if you look at this in comparison to Cover Up, which we were just playing with, that's 4 investigate actions. Like, sure, you can move away and ignore it for when it's perfect, but this is basically just like, hey, spend a turn. And if you're on a location with a lot of Shroud, just take 2 horror and put it on, like, you're in yellow, so you're going to have a lot of soak. It does, like, once again, he reads green, but, like, you're going to have ways to mitigate that horror that is in the Seeker class. Yeah. I am curious to see because, like, you're going to build him Seeker, and he has one brain. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see how that goes. Because all the other ones, like Ursula and Finn, I mean, Finn also has 1, but he doesn't get as Seeker-y because he can't, and Ursula is a Seeker, so...
Sounds like a discussion for the full Monterey Jack.
It does.
Guide.
So, if this is your first time seeing one of these intro videos to an investigator, we've built this with 2 copies of the core set and the entirety of the Edge of the Earth expansion. If you only have 1 copy of the core set, I mean, the revised core set is now, like, out. It's here in Canada, so just buy that. Like,
yep. I'm not going back and changing all the guides to account for the new upgrade cards.
Heck no,
it's not happening.
Just put them in. Many. Just put them in. If you're like, this can go in here. Like, I think Shortcut or something's in the revised core. Just put, like, Shortcut in your
upgrade
yellow
one
decks.
is anyway.
Yeah. You also might have heard of something called the taboo list. I actually don't know if anything here... Yeah, there is. There's an elusive.
Yeah.
For the taboo list, we recommend just ignoring the taboo list when you're just starting out, especially if you're a new player, and just play with the cards that you have as printed. It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the deck, starting with the Corsair cards. Who's chomping at the bit to get to these ones?
I'll do them. We got Flashlight and Magnifying Glass, the first two. Flashlight is just, 2 to play, takes up a hand slot, 3 supplies. As an action, you spend 1 supplies to investigate, and you get -2 sharp for the investigation. Makes investigating easier because that's your job. Magnifying Glass is a 1 cost, 1 hand asset. It's fast. You get +1 book while investigating. It makes investigating easier, which is your job. Wow. It's a pretty common theme.
Copy paste.
Yeah. We got Leo DeLuca here for our ally slot. 6 cost, takes up the ally slot. Can soak 2 hearts, 2 brains. You get an extra action during your turn, which is really good for making it so you can get that extra move in to get the draw or the resource, or to just spend it investigating again, as is your want. Last, we got some pickpocketings. These are helpful to keep your hand full. They're 2 cost assets. After you evade an enemy, you exhaust pickpocketing to draw a card, then commit for a foot. Realistically, you're not going to be evading too many enemies in a lot of scenarios, but you are going to have like a pretty healthy amount of money and cards in hand from Monterey Jack's ability. And with the 10 skills in the deck, you can cycle through your deck pretty consistently and pretty quickly, especially with the help of pickpocketing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of situations where you've got all the clues on a location, you draw an enemy, you evade that enemy, you draw a card off pickpocketing, you move away from that location, and you can either get a resource to pay for that card you drew if you're short, or just draw another card if you drew a skill. Like that's really nice.
There's also only so many level 0 green cards between Edge of the Earth and the core
It's true.
sets.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
There's a strong consideration with this one.
Yeah, and you'll find that with a lot of these cards too, because you upgrade out of green, you'll keep some of them, Scout Ahead will probably live in a Monterey Jack. We'll get to that one.
Yep.
But some of them, pickpocketing, you could replace that with better things as we upgrade. Mm-hmm. All right, Bray, why don't you take these ones?
All right, we got Backstab. This one's a 3-costed event. It's like your Bullwhip, but bigger. We do 3 damage instead of 1 damage. So you can just use this in conjunction with your 5-foot to one-shot a lot of the enemies that the game intends to be difficult, especially in the first 3 scenarios of the campaign. Difficult enemies often look like something like a 3/3 evade number, and this kind of just lets you kill them. Mm-hmm. We got Elusive. This card is very, very strong, but not always. It's a 2-costed fast event. You play it only during your turn. Disengage from each enemy engaged with you, and move to a revealed location with no enemies.
Man, it's kind of nice that with Monterey Jack, this card also reads gain a draw card and gain a resource most of the time.
Yep, it's like it pays for itself too.
Yeah, you can actually just go anywhere.
Wow.
We got Emergency Cash. 0, get 3 resources. You don't cut your economy. This lets you pay for all the other cards you want to play with, Leo DeLuca, Backstab, Elusive, anything we've seen so far, really.
Green cards are expensive.
Green cards do have a tendency to be expensive.
Going back to the last one, Leo DeLuca was 6. That's a pretty pricey card.
You do often end up slightly overpaying for the effect, but they allow you to do, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. We got Sneak Attack. It's just deal 2 damage to an exhausted enemy at your location. So you can also use this in conjunction with the Bullwhip to deal with those pesky 3 health enemies.
Yeah. Sneak Attack's another one like pickpocketing that, Monterey Jack's identity doesn't exist within the realm of the core set for the green cards. So, it's kind of just there.
It's fine for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't feel bad about playing Backstab and Sneak Attack. It's if you're playing with the core set and Edge of the Earth, he's a flex investigator instead of a strictly investigating.
Yeah, and you are probably going to be a little bit more of a flex investigator for the first scenario or 2 until you start getting to upgrade into yellow cards anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we got Deduction. Great card. If it commits for a book, and if the skill test is successful while investigating a location, discover one additional clue at that location. This puts you up to 5. If you have a magnifying glass or a flashlight helping you, it really just makes sure that you get those clues. And quicker clues is better than slower clues. Next up here is we got Guts. Guts is good because, well, the Mythos deck, it's going to attack you most commonly through Brain. This is because the 3 other stats are used for investigating, fighting, and evading. So, your Brain stat needs to do something, so it's your number 1 defensive stat. Monterey Jack also only has 1 Brain, so having something that at least pushes you up to 3, so you can deal with threats that come out of the Mythos deck, like Rotting Remains if you have a smaller cycle. So if you only have the Knight of the Zealot cycle. Frozen in Fear is also, you really don't want to do that because, moving's nice, especially with Monterey Jack. And yeah, card's just very helpful in keeping you going on the defense.
Yeah, in this kind of deck, you generally aren't going to want to just throw your Guts. So you can be 3-3 with a test, unless it's actually going to cripple you. You probably want to hold on to your Guts until you have a second one or an unexpected courage.
You can't commit two Guts. You can only commit 1
Okay,
Guts.
until you have an unexpected courage to go with it.
Yeah, or some sort of cards out of one of your teammates' decks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe they can help you with the thing, and you're like, okay, I've got 3, and this is pretty real now.
Yeah, in most cases, it's not going to be worth
Yeah.
it to just throw the Guts at whatever Brain test comes up.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take a couple of hits off those.
Yeah, most of the time, having only 1 Brain does mean that you're just tanking it.
Yeah. Manual Dex gives you Foot, which is good for evading, which is kind of something you're going to be doing with Monterey Jack, especially with this deck. And then we got Perception, which helps with your book, which is something you're going to be doing with Monterey Jack because, it's kind of what you do. You investigate and you evade, and those will help you do it. I'll take the last card here as well, which is Unexpected Courage. Sitting all alone on this slide by itself, but it does a lot. It, commits for 2 of any symbol. It doesn't replace itself, so that's where you get, the versatility as opposed to the, just the value out of the card. However, Unexpected is still very good. You can use it for other people, or, as Travis said, to pair that up with Guts, and now you're looking at 5 Brain for a test like a Frozen in Fear.
Yeah.
Because you do not want that. Not one
Frozen
bit.
in Fear is scary.
It is.
Luckily, though, as you get older, and by older I mean more experienced, there are other ways to deal with this too. So, just
That's a weird way to say that.
That is,
well,
that's a way to say that.
every scenario, my investigator grew 1 year, and they're just getting older.
A year?
1 year.
Is that just from the stress? Or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah, that's
yes.
pretty fair.
All right, Travis, let me take on these ones.
Yeah, we got Archive of Conduits. This is a 2-cost asset that commits for a wild, but you probably don't want to do that. It takes up a hand slot. It's limit 1 per deck, and there's an additional cost to play this asset. You have to put 1 resource on a different location. 4 different locations, as ley lines. And after you successfully investigate a location that has a ley line on it, you can exhaust the Archive of Conduits to move that ley line onto the archive. And if there are 4 ley lines on it, you discard it, take its ley lines as resources, and record your campaign log that you have identified the gateway. This is the unidentified card for this cycle, and it is pretty solid for Monterey Jack. It fits in really nicely to the deck, where you can only play 5 level 0 yellow cards, and you can only play 1 of these, so then you get to play 2 copies of 2 other ones. The upgrade things
nice.
are really good for him, and you should play this one.
Yeah, we're gonna get to those upgrades. So
Yeah, and
Buckle
it's not
up.
that bad for him to put them on 4 different locations because you want to move around a lot anyway. You get rewarded for that. We got Heavy Furs here. It's a 2-cost asset, commits for a fist and takes up a body slot. Can soak 2 heart damage. And after you reveal a non-auto fail symbol on a chaos token during a skill test you're performing, you deal 1 damage to Heavy Furs to cancel that chaos token, return to the bag, then reveal a new token. This can help you buy out or buy your way out of some bad token draws on important tests, like when you've spent both your Guts and your Unexpected Courage on a Frozen Fear Wrong Remains, and you draw -4, and you're like, I really want to pass this one. Or we've already committed a card and 3 resources to your backstab. It's a good way to make sure that those cards happen. And we got Scout Ahead. It's a 1-cost event that commits for 2 feet. It's an insight and a trick. You get to move up to 3 times, and enemies do not engage you during this movement. Great way to get around the board. Just really, really efficient, and great symbols as well.
and it also just reads as well with Monterey Jack,
It's
draw
free.
a card and gain a resource.
Yes,
so
it's
it's free.
true.
Yeah.
It's truly free.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also got Monterey Jack in the art.
So yeah,
So,
it
like,
better
you have
be
to.
good
You,
with
you
him.
have to play it. Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on over to the experience cards. Bryn, why don't? Actually, just kidding. Oh no, this is all there is for the core set. Bryn, do you think you can handle this one?
All right, we got upgraded magnifying glass. The difference is that it costs 0 to play. Still fast. Otherwise, still largely the same as a lightning bolt. If there are no clues at your location, you can return it to your hand. Why would you want to do that, you might be wondering? Well, maybe you want to use your hands for something different. Maybe you've got 2 magnifying glasses in play and you need a bullwhip now.
Yep.
Maybe you need to commit the book symbol to a test that is not an investigation. All kinds of useful things that could do for you.
Just neat things.
Yeah.
Neat.
Sweet. All right. We got the Edge of the Earth cards. These are the experience cards. We got Join the Caravan. It's a 5 cost, 1 experience. Fast. Play only during your turn. Reduce the cost of this card by 1 for each different class among cards you control. Move to any revealed location. So, like, realistically, this is going to cost 3. With some of the multi-class cards that are available to you, this might cost 2. One thing to note is that Monterey Jack, he is a rogue, and he is a card you control. So you always will get at least 1 off of it because, you know, he is your rogue for the different classes. And then you probably will have a magnifying glass in play, or, you know, something else that's Seeker as we get through this, which can make that a lot cheaper of an option for it. And it really is also like you get paid 1 back as well, and probably also drawing a card. Just always remembering Monterey Jack's ability when you're reading these cards, because it makes them a little less bad.
Pricey.
Yeah, pricey.
Yeah. And looking at this card, you might think it is strictly worse than elusive, and it is mostly worse than elusive, but not strictly worse. This card does allow you to, like, take enemies with you to your guardian or your monster fighter or whatever, if you need them to kill them for the victory. It can or if it's like a doom generating enemy that you don't want to just leave there and you're really far away from your teammates.
Yeah, you can also play this one without being engaged with an enemy,
Yeah.
which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up here is we got Survey the Area. When it's in your hand or committed to a skill test, it gains book icons equal to your foot and foot icons equal to your book. So that
9,
means,
baby.
yeah, 9s in each of those stats when you're committed to a test. Even more if you have other boosts. But, you know, just having 9 book and 9 foot does kind of seem like overkill, but hey, maybe you need it, right?
Maybe.
Maybe you want it.
Next up here is we got the Prophecy Profana. The Atlas of the Unknowable. This card is pretty sick. It's a 4 cost, 5 experience asset. Commits for 2 wild, but you probably don't want to. Takes up a hand slot while you're not at the locus. You get +1 book and +1 foot, and you may ignore attacks of opportunity. After enters play, choose a revealed location. That location is the locus until the book leaves play. And as an action, you can move any investigator to the locus. It's 5 experience. It costs 4. It better be good, and it's very good. There's a lot of times where you're in a scenario and just the starting location you really never need to go back to until the end. And this just does that. It does that. You can go back to the end. In addition, you now have +1 book and foot, which if you haven't gathered by now, are your stats.
Yeah, like on Monterey Jack, this is almost as good as +1 to all of your stats.
Yeah. And then, in addition, to make it even better with Monterey Jack, if you move yourself to the locus, you've probably moved more than 2 locations, so you also get a resource and a card out of it. Kind of bonkers. And also, like, the ignoring attacks of opportunity is really great, because then you can just, like, investigate, move to the next location, and be like, hey, goon, solve this problem.
Kill this guy, he's hanging out with me.
Yeah. Last one here is we got hiking boots, which I think, as a rule, you need to put this in Ursula and Monterey Jack's decks all of the time, just as like one of those unwritten rules.
Yeah.
And also because they're archaeologists, they're explorers, they're going to be walking. They need hiking boots. It's a 2 cost, 1 experience asset. Commits for a foot. Limit 1 footwear per investigator. You get +1 foot. As a reaction after the last clue is discovered from your location, exhaust hiking boots. Move to a connecting location with at least 1 clue, or to a connecting, unrevealed location. So, the +1 foot is nice, and the other ability, I imagine it's not going to trigger, like, all the time, but it's going to trigger enough, and it takes up a slot that's not at all competitive. That like it'll give you some value enough to warrant it if it interests you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also worth noting you don't have to be the one to discover the clue. So, maybe that's useful to you, maybe it's not.
Also, again,
But it's
now
cool.
that ability also reads draw a card or gain a resource. It's crazy. Just a little little asterisk next to all of them. Travis, you got the conduits.
Oh, good.
Do you want me to kind of just sum them up, what they do before we get to the things?
Nah, I can do it.
Alright.
So they're all 4 at play, and they all cost you 4 experience to put in your deck. They're all limit 1 per deck. So you can only ever have 1 archive of conduits regardless of which kind it is. They all commit for... they all take up an arcane slot, and they all commit for 2 of a symbol and a wild symbol. The first one, our Gateway to Tindalos, is the fist one. They all come to play with 4 ley lines as uses as well. So for a lightning bolt, you can move a ley line from this asset to a non-elite enemy. As an action, you choose an investigator and an enemy with a ley line at a revealed location. The investigator moves to that location, and then you may remove the ley line to deal 1 damage to that enemy. So you can teleport your goon over to an enemy.
Solve this problem.
Yes.
I like that. There's like...
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Gateway to... What's that one?
Acron. Yeah.
Something like that. This one lets you, as a lightning bolt, move the ley lines to a revealed location. And as an action, you can choose an investigator and a revealed location with a ley line on it. The investigator moves to that location. And then you may remove the ley line to then take an investigate action. You take the investigate action, not the person that you moved.
No, it's the person who moved.
Is it?
Yeah, you
Oh,
may
to have
remove
them
it,
take an
take
investigate
an
action. No, you're
investigate
right.
action.
Okay.
So you remove your goon to a location and say, have at thee.
Yeah, I think this one's more for
Get 'em.
you.
Yes. Yeah, we're probably.
Then we got our Gateway to Aldebaran is the foot one. This one allows you to once again move the ley lines to non-elite enemies. As an action, you can choose an investigator engaged with an enemy that has a ley line. The investigator disengages from that enemy and moves to a connecting location, and you may remove the ley line to automatically evade that enemy. This action does not provoke attacks or opportunities. It's just a kind of crappy version of Pen of the Queen.
Yeah, it's like a little panic button. Or a crappy version of Pendant of the Queen, which is accurate. But I mean, like, in all fairness,
pretty good,
if
wow.
they made a better version of Pendant of the Queen...
And the last one we have is the Gateway to Paradise.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. This one lets you move ley lines from itself to investigators. As an action, you can choose an investigator who has a ley line. Then that investigator will either draw a card or heal a damage or horror. And you may remove the ley line to have them instead draw 2 cards and heal 2 damage or horror. Or they draw a card and heal damage or 1 horror. The first part, excuse me. Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's a nice way to keep your teammates alive. Which one you upgrade into is going to depend quite a bit on what your teammates are doing.
I like these ones because they all feel... I feel like they've... With these upgraded ones as we've gone on, they feel like they can fit in any style of deck when you're like building specifically for them. It's not just like, here's the good one.
Yep.
Right?
One thing I'm really disappointed on these guys is that the art is slightly different. Though.
Yeah. One thing I do like is they're starting to like reference things a bit more, like the Tindalos. You know, you zorp a guy to them.
And
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I also like that.
I think it's a cool cycle, and you'll know which one you want depending on how you're building. If you're going like heavy Clover, you probably want the Investigate one, the Gateway to Acheron, and using that on yourself. The Tindalos one is also nice because like you can kind of just also just like have your goon do around, but that's less for like 2-player. And the Gateway to Aldebaran is like a nice kind of like panic button if you're also doing 2-player. I think also like other ones, it just depends. Like if you're trying to just do things yourself, however, then you ask yourself, I have 5 foot, do I really need this for that? And then the last one is like a support card, but I think it's a nice support card, so probably not your choice for this one. It's probably one of the first 2 for...
From our age, the
Yes.
third one
Yeah.
can have a place if we have one of your teammates who has, like, you don't get around to upgrading this till, like, 4th scenario, and one of your teammates has 2 or 3 trauma already.
Yeah.
You can help
Sweet.
them out with that.
Brandon, you want to take these ones?
You know.
Sure, we got the Eon chart. It's a 2-costed level 1 asset. Has uses 3 charges. As a lightning bolt during your turn, you can exhaust Eon chart. and spend 1 secret to choose and take one of the following actions: move, evade, or investigate. It takes up your necklace slot, which is really not the most competitive thing ever. Green does have a very solid level 0 one. Well, a couple of pretty solid level 0 ones, but they're not in the core set. The upgraded one costs you 4 XP and is very much worth it. We get an extra wild symbol for committing, but if you spent 4 XP on it, don't unless you're probably going to die, or you win if you pass the test.
Yeah.
We've got the same use as 3 secrets, but the lightning bolt action is now during your turn, exhausted and spend a secret. Choose and take 2 of the following actions in any order: move, evade, or investigate. You know Leo DeLuca? This is probably like his favorite thing.
I don't know, you have to pay 4 times as much experience for twice the effect.
Look, they don't scale laterally. We've got the antiquary.
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 Yeah.
It's like a reliquary,
think
only shitty.
I think it's like
No, it's
like
the-
Auntie Joan. And no, you're right.
Antiquary.
It's an antiquary. It's restoring antiques in.
Yeah, or aunts.
Or ants.
Antiquary.
Whatever.
Doesn't it mean someone who like cares about antiques? Because they're all like personality descriptors.
I don't know.
Right?
A reliquary is a thing that you store relics in.
Yeah, but reliquary isn't like.
Well, an antiquary. Yeah,
So
no,
an
I think it's
antiquary
right.
is probably something that you store antiques in.
But it doesn't fit with the theme of the rest of them.
Maybe
like,
not,
Crafty
I don't
is
know.
like something that it's a talent, right?
Yeah.
Owning a store where you keep stuff.
No, okay, here we go. Antiquary is another term for antiquarian, which is someone who collects things. So it's fit with the descriptions because antiquarian wouldn't have fit with that. That's why you come to this channel, because we teach you words.
Yeah, we're learning too.
How we learn.
Yeah.
Antiquarian.
Anyway, it's a 3-costed talent asset. It has uses 2 resources. You replenish the resources at the start of each round. The resources on it can be used to pay for favor, relic, or ritual cards. As a lightning bolt during a skill test on one of those following types of cards, you can spend one of the resources to get +1 to the test. This one is much more about paying for the cards than it is about getting the +1
Yeah.
to your number while using the
Unless you're
card.
using Eon chart.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Right?
I think even on I agree, like, more often because
Yeah.
Seeker and Rogues is going to be a bit more pricey than things. But there will be fringe cases, like with Eon Chart and even the Archive of the Conduits, they're all ritual cards, I think.
Yeah, they
Like that. And I think one of them has a test.
Nope.
No, you don't. You
No,
just
it
move
doesn't
to
have
that
to make tests,
location.
Justin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it pays for those, and then Eon Chart, you could use it on the Investigate for that one.
Crafty is a very similar card, where it's got uses 2 charges to get it, but you can only use them to pay for insights, tools, or trick cards, and it's got the same last line of text where, while resolving abilities on those types of cards, you can spend the resources to get +1 skill value. Again, this one is like probably more about paying for the cards than it is about getting the +1 skill value. But there are a lot of events that fit those criteria that may ask you to make a test,
Like backstab.
like backstab.
Yeah.
Although this works equally well on either half of backstab.
Yeah.
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 Like it costs 3, which is a lot, but also sometimes your numbers
Passing the
need to be
test is
better.
good.
Yeah, passing the test is so important on that card.
Yeah. Yeah, with these cards, you'll know when you want them. You'll look at your deck and be like, man, I have a lot of relics and ritual cards. Hey, maybe I should become an antiquarian.
Yeah, none of these types of cards. There are a couple of them that you have access to that are also maybe not listed here, but
They would
like they're not a priority upgrade. These are like make your deck run smoother once you've got all the bits to make it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of these could come in for an emergency cash if you're like leaning really hard into the relevant card types.
Yeah. All right, we got Janae Beauregard. She's a 5-cost Intrepid Explorer, 3 experience, commits for a book and a foot. She takes up the ally slot, 2 soak and horror and damage, and you get +1 foot and +1 book. Hey, those might be Monterey Jack's stats.
You can tell because she's also yellow and green.
Yeah, that's true. And she also is wearing a hat. That's important.
Yeah, she
is
is
important.
That is important.
As a reaction during your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust her. Move a clue or non-elite enemy from a connecting location to your location or vice versa. That's a very strong ability. Even just like to like kick an enemy, you move into a location with an enemy and you say, "Not today, get out of here." But also just like moving you're on like a Shroud 4 location that has victory. You got like 2 of the clues with your deduction. There's 1 left, and you say, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just move to this Shroud 1 location and bring that clue with me." Boom.
I bet you she's real cute in conjunction with the Locust book, where you don't take attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just
And you're just like, I've got this guy, but now I'm going to move to a new location and see you later, chump.
Oh,
You get
yeah.
to stay here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably real good.
Or you could just like collect guys for your
Yeah.
Guardian using Dynamite Blast. Yeah.
Great card. I highly recommend it for Monterey with just this collection. She's going to do a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
On the trail, we have a level 1 and a level 3 version. Level 1 commits for a book and a foot. Choose an enemy or location. It costs 1, by the way. It's an insight and tactic. I should say all of the card before I get to the text box. Choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Either move twice toward that enemy or discover a clue at any empty location between you and the chosen enemy along the shortest path to reach that enemy. The upgraded version now commits for an extra book
symbols.
and a fist. It's shown up to party 2. Still costs 1. Choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Move twice toward that enemy. Discover 1 clue at each location you entered by this effect.
It's just better.
Just better. And like getting clues, and then this card also says, "Hey, why don't you just replace it afterwards?" Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah.
God, it's that ability is just it's really good.
Yeah, I bet this one's also really good with the elusive, where you can be engaged with an enemy and then be like, "Nah, I'm on the other side of the map." No, just kidding. I'm moving back towards him, but I'm taking
coming
clues,
back,
so I go
baby.
there.
Oh yeah, no, and then that seems pretty sick.
It's probably pretty
sick.
alright.
Yeah. Whoa, and this guy's also wearing a hat, so you know it's probably fine over here.
Yeah, but he's also got a gorgeous dog.
That's true. So, but like, unfortunately, Ashcan, got bad news for you. Anyways, we shouldn't make in-jokes about cards you may not know, but we got Ice Pick here. This is a 1-cost, 1-experience item tool melee. It's fast, commits for a fist, and takes up the hand slot. As a lightning bolt, during a skill test while fighting or investigating, you may exhaust Ice Pick, and you get +1 skill value for this test. There's an upgraded one, too, which is much better. I was like, that card's not that great.
Yeah, it's kind of just like bad magnifying glass.
Yeah. And then we got the upgraded one, which is cost 1 still, 3 experience, a book and a fist, fast. During a skill test while you're fighting or investigating, exhaust Ice Pick. You get +1 skill value for this test. If you succeed, you may discard Ice Pick to have this attack deal +1 damage if you are fighting, or discover 1 additional clue at your location if you're investigating. This is paired with this guy over here, Professor William Webb, which I'm going to focus more on the experienced version because it's just better. It's 3 cost, 2 experience, commits for a book and a wild, uses 3 secrets. When you successfully investigate, exhaust Professor William Webb and spend 1 secret, choose an item card in your discard pile and add it to your hand. Instead of discovering a clue at your location, you may discover a clue at a connecting location. So obviously, more likely than not, I'm going to just say it, if you have Ice Pick, you want Professor William Webb with it.
Yeah, he lets you play a much more generalist sort of build than playing with Janae does.
Yes, yeah.
Where you can occasionally fight more often, whereas Janae is just...
She knows what she's here
Yeah,
for.
there's also a card that is not from the core set. It's from Dunwich Legacy. It's called Charisma. It's just a permanent that gives you an extra ally slot.
That's going to be
It
in the
costs 3
revised
XP.
Yeah, it is
Is
in the
it?
revised
That's
core
good.
set. Yeah,
That's good.
It in Relic Hunter.
That is good. Because that card is the easiest thing to proxy in the world. You don't actually even need to make one that resembles it at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you just need to write down that, like, I have this and I spent 3 XP
Or just
on
even
it.
just like remember in your head,
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just double dip.
You definitely could. You can also tie the Ice Pick onto the end of your bullwhip.
Yeah, and like sort of lashing people
Yeah.
with it.
I mean, I do think
pretty sick.
Ice Whip is a very nice card, but it is more of a generalist than just like
Yeah, I think if you're playing any sort of way to recur items, it becomes very strong no matter what it is you intend to do with it.
Yeah, it's a lot of free actions.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's it for the cards.
That's it for the cards.
Yeah, I do have one more thing to say about this Monterey Jack deck. That unlike a lot of the investigators for this cycle, he actually has a pretty flexible level 0 deck, where he also has access to that level 0 green and yellow thing that like looks at the locations, calculate locations.
Telescopic thingamajiggy?
Yeah, telescopic thing.
Or
You can
periscope? Pocket telescope.
pocket telescope. You
There we
got. You can play that instead of the magnifying glass and free up 2 yellow slots for like some Dr. Milan Christophers or for other plus book yellow ally. If that's something that you decide you want to play. It's not like Lily Chen where he's pretty boxed into an archetype.
I'd say with Lily it's more of a kicked into an archetype.
Oh,
Nathaniel
got
James,
him.
he's the...
Nathaniel Cho.
Oh my god. But yeah, like you have a lot of options with Monterey Jack's level 0 deck with the available cards. So don't feel like a card's unplayable simply because it was not mentioned here.
Yeah.
No, how dare you play cards that we didn't tell you?
This is the trusty bullwhip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. Is anyone playing him first for the first one? Are you playing him first, or are you?
No, I'll think about that when it shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we gotta get it first, so that,
Well, I know who you're playing. You're playing Bob.
Bob.
And then I'm gonna play either Daniela or Monterey because sadly, who's even the
I might play Norman Withers.
Norman.
Norman
Yeah,
Withers?
I was right there at the beginning of this video. I was like, this guy's actually the yellow one. And I was like, who is the yellow one?
Wait a minute.
Oh, poor Norman's been here for so long. We just forget about the poor guy. Awesome. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week, maybe with Norman Withers.
Maybe.
Maybe with Bob Jenkins. It really depends on whichever one Travis makes.
I'll probably sit down and do them both on the same day, to be honest.
Look at that. Look at that. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. You guys have a good one. We'll see you all very soon. And big thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.